This game has taken the internet by storm, gotten the highest ratings by many companies in years, and has some game devs telling players to not compare future titles to it as it is so good that it is an anomaly. But is this title right for you? Mukluk here, and I make concise game reviews that help you decide if you want to buy something without spoiling the game for you. This is Baldur's Gate 3, a story-rich party turn-based RPG. It is currently available on PC and will soon be available on PlayStation 5 and Mac OS. Xbox Access is currently in production at the time of this recording. It is rated M for mature. In full disclosure, I received this game for free as part of my work, but the goal of this review is to determine whether or not this game is worth its $60 price tag for you. The game's setting, with no spoilers beyond the tutorial. Baldur's Gate 3 follows the story of your character in a fantasy world. You can design a custom character yourself, or choose one with a built-in origin story. You and many others are kidnapped by mind flayers, a species that multiplies by infecting others. You get infected, but shortly after, the mind flayer ship is attacked, allowing you a chance at freedom. Once free, you begin a mission to find someone who can help get this mind flayer tadpole out of your head before you are changed into a monster yourself. General gameplay. The game mostly follows the rules of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. For newcomers to the genre, in a nutshell, you have a massive amount of freedom of what you can do. When doing something, you will often see a 20-sided dice roll, then add your stats and bonuses that are relevant to that task. Trying to charm someone for information? Your charisma will help with that. Throwing a knife? Dexterity. Push a boulder? Strength check. And so on. While there is an overall story, how you get there has 1,000 branching paths. Just a few of the early game choices are as follows. Do you help refugees flee some goblins? Help the refugees murder the goblins? Help the goblins kill the refugees? Ignore both of them? Kill both of them? Psycho. In terms of your character, you can pick a class and specialize in many different ways of playing it, or even multi-class as you level to make a hybrid character that really speaks to you. One of my personal favorites was a strength-fueled jacked necromancer that carries around spare bodies to cast Animate Dead on and makes deadlifting jokes whenever possible. Based on your choices, various other characters will be willing to join you that have their own moral compass, some good, some evil, backstories, and quest lines. Or if you aren't interested in that, you can get hirelings which follow you once hired and don't have those pesky morals. Your choices in this story have meaning and consequences, opening new avenues of victory and closing others. There is no wrong way to play, but your experience can be quite different from another player's due to your decisions. Do you have to play the previous Baldur's Gate games to enjoy this one? No, you do not. This game is an amazing story all by itself. However, if you did play the previous games, you will see some characters and locations that you will recognize in the world. I myself had not played the previous BG games, but had played the Neverwinter Nights series when I was younger, which is in the same universe, and I was excited to see a few references I recognized in the game as well. Do you have to understand D20 games to enjoy this one? No. If you have already played D20 games before, you won't need to learn much more than the controls of this title. However, if you never have, there are tutorials in the game that can teach you the basics. Baldur's Gate 3 took me 94 hours of gameplay to finish my first playthrough as a good guy, and I say first because I immediately started a second playthrough where I've been playing as evil. Due to all the branching paths earlier mentioned, as well as different class options, there is a lot of replayability. Comparisons to other games. BG3 of course has similarities to other D20 based games, however with much more modern graphics and cinematic conversations. Other games such as Neverwinter Nights, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, Pathfinder Kingmaker, and Wrath of the Righteous all have major overlap, but BG3 and the 5th edition rule set, which is a bit more welcoming for new players, made it much more digestible for players unfamiliar with the genre. The details. Graphics. In a word, incredible. The graphics of this game are so good they use the in-game footage for most of the cutscenes, which is sometimes hilarious if you are shapeshifted into an animal while having a serious conversation with someone or something. Sound and music. The music is stellar, and does a great job of complementing every part of the game, even so far as the Bard class actually plays numerous songs while using their abilities. The sound effects of combat and environment are meticulous and cover everything from attacks to just moving chairs around.
This is the spot Ruben marked. Doesn't look like much.
But my biggest compliment here is the voice acting. Nearly everything the NPCs all say is voice acted. We're talking thousands or tens of thousands of lines of dialogue and possibilities, all voice acted for your pleasure. Controls. Baldur's Gate 3 can be played with a controller or mouse and keyboard on PC. I played with mouse and keyboard, and while it had some unique controls not normal to other games, I had to learn they were fine after getting used to them. I personally didn't have to rebind anything, although it gives you the option to easily do so. Saving system. The game can be saved at any time, even in the middle of a conversation if you are faced with a rough choice and want to see the various outcomes. You can quick save, try something, and reload if it isn't what you thought. It isn't save scumming, it's role-playing a time wizard. Content creator concerns. Some. I streamed my entire playthrough on Twitch and uploaded the entire thing to our Muckluck Plays YouTube channel. The only thing I saw was limited monetization on some videos due to the mature nature of some sections of the game. I did not experience any muted VODs or have any issues with copyright claims. It's worth noting at this point that while the game does have nudity options, you can disable them if you wish to do so. Do I have anything negative to say? I have to seriously nitpick to find something negative to say here. One thing I would like to see them add to the game is when you are looking at which class to play, show what will be available at the higher levels, similar to the Pathfinder games. Currently, when deciding on a class, I find myself tabbing out to the wiki a lot to see what they unlock later on. I also wouldn't mind the system for swapping out party members to feel a little smoother. It feels a bit cumbersome as it is now, but again, these are minor. I had a few minor bugs with my playthrough, most of which have already been hotfixed or were resolved by simply saving and reloading the game. Final thoughts. As a longtime RPG enjoyer, I was eager to play this game before it came out. All I knew at that time was it was a D20 game, of which I had played quite a few, and it was made by Larian, who made the Divinity Original Sin games, which I greatly enjoyed. So I was confident that while I had not played the earlier Baldur's Gate games, I would still greatly enjoy this one. However, that does not do justice to my experience. The game truly is an absolute masterpiece. While even as I write this, it has already gotten a few minor patches for bug fixes, it was largely a finished game on day one, which feels like such a rarity these days. It brought me back to going to the store and finding a game on a shelf, reading the box, and deciding it looked okay, taking it home, and it just worked because there was no day one patches at that time. There is no subscription, there is no battle pass, there is no cash shop. In fact, when asked about this, they said, no, there are no in-game purchases in our game. We believe in providing a complete and immersive gaming experience without the need for additional purchases. Enjoy the game to its fullest without any additional costs or microtransactions. After recently playing games like Diablo 4 that are doing everything they can to increase player retention because that is how they make money, it is such a breath of fresh air to see a company just say, here's this great game we made, enjoy it for as long as you wish to. Even when Larian sees players come up with unique ways to one-shot kill the bosses by body slamming them with enlarged bears, they just laugh, like, nice job, that's a unique way of handling that, and they don't start nerfing bears or buffing bosses with bear resist via emergency hotfixes. I could truly talk about this for hours, but I pride myself on making these reviews as concise as possible. So, if it isn't clear already, I have to say that taking into account everything I've said, this game absolutely felt worth its price. Honestly, it's worth even more. This video was not sponsored, so if you enjoyed it, please consider hitting that like button to help us out with the YouTube algorithm and subscribe for more content. If you'd like to see more of my own playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3, I'll include a link to those playlists from our other channel down below. Subscribe there too. As always, a massive thank you to our dear patrons who make content like this possible. If you'd like to become a supporter and earn early access, there is a link to that in the description. Happy roleplaying!